You know, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to realize that today's episode is going to be a little strange. It's the last time I let Derek write my jokes. Hey! You're there. We're back. It's Real Talk. And today we're talking about Marvel's Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. We just went and saw the movie. It's opening day. It is November 4th. 1916. It is November 4th.
Turning Tom back.
November 4th, 2016. And we're keeping that.
We're gonna get bombed. It's 1916.
Oh man, it is. We're in some rough time. That's that other movie that's going on. No, it's not a movie, it's a video game. That's Battlefield 1. Was World War I still going on in 1916?
We started in 1916.
Did it?
Then it ended 19...
Don't ask me. I asked you when it started.
I think it's 1916. The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand. He had that awesome song,
Yeah,
Take Me Out.
Dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun. It's my favorite part of Guitar Hero 2. Alright, so, anyway. Today we saw Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange, like, we're big fans. Like, you've watched the show. If you haven't, hey. But, let me introduce us. I'm Shane.
Robbie.
Jamie.
And today, you've gathered back here. It's been a while for us.
Been a while.
Thank you. Thank you, Coldplay. It's been a while for us, and I take a lot of the response. Whatever.
Same band. Same band.
Coldplay just, their Google spot, like their Google alerts just went off. And they're like, somebody's talking about us. But then they're like,
The Coldplay movement.
oh, it was the Stain song again. Damn it. It's like that Chris Daughtry guy that I keep thinking was the lead singer in Nickelback.
Go ahead and do it.
Why is he writing Batman, though?
Because you can do anything if you set your mind to it, Shane.
Today on an inspirational Real Talk. First off, like Doctor Strange, we've talked about this before. About the idea that this is going to be the weird one, this is going to be the one, can Marvel... Marvel's basically throwing everything at the wall now.
Right.
We've got Ant-Man, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy, and everything's been like, oh, this one's going to break Marvel. This one's going to break Marvel. And we'd heard Kevin Feige say that this is going to be like the weirdest, most out there Marvel movie that they've made yet. So we saw it. Did this movie break Marvel, Robbie?
I don't think so. I think it finally kind of incorporated what we've been waiting for with magic. Because, it sucks because, it seems like Marvel's always been science-based.
Right.
Like, everything about Marvel is science-based for the most part. And then, this week, not only did we get magic introduced, but we had the supernatural element from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Absolutely.
We can talk about that later. But it was just cool because, they kind of glossed over it in Thor where he's like, is this magic? And Thor's like, your people call it science.
Right.
So I thought that was actually kind of cool that they actually took that concept of magic and they embraced it.
Yeah, it's not there's nothing in Doctor Strange that's like, oh, this is science, but you're looking at it no way. It's like, no, this is magic, and magic crap happens, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like everything that science couldn't take care of in that movie.
Exactly, it really is. So, Jamie.
Well, building off that, they actually kind of address that. They say, the Avengers is for certain threats, and that the sorcerers are for different types of threats.
Avengers are the protectors of the physical.
And the mystical, yeah.
They are the protectors of the mystical realm.
So, did it make or break Marvel? I don't think it did either, but it did make the universe much more appealing, I think.
It wasn't a misstep like Iron Man 3 or
definitely
anything
wasn't.
like that. It added a lot to it.
Iron Man 1?
But yeah, you heard me. That movie happened.
Didn't happen.
Here's the thing. I like that movie. I know I'm the odd man out on that one, but I liked Iron Man.
I don't hate it. I
I'm
just
going home. I'll not be a part of this negativity.
But
bye, Felicia.
I've read something the other day. It's like overseas, I think Doctor Strange had like the biggest opening out of all these kind of offshoot Marvel movies, out of Guardians, out of Ant-Man, out of that stuff. So it looks like, I mean, that's in some line. Granted, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't see a lot of TV spots and stuff like that. I don't know if this movie has been marketed like to death.
Not really. Like, you've seen a few. Well, I don't really get
Right.
commercials with streaming and all that stuff, but even on Facebook you would see like the Doctor Strange ads pop up and things like that. Like, it would actually warp your screen,
But we're also
on your phone and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we're also kind of like in the phase where these movies kind of market themselves. I mean,
That's true.
Yeah. Biggest thing that stuck out to me, like Doctor Strange, the casting of Doctor Strange was one of those things that I always thought was going to be very interesting. When they announced, "Hey, we're doing Doctor Strange," I'm super glad Benedict Cumberbatch has come in. I absolutely love Benedict Cumberbatch. I love Sherlock. I love Star Trek 2. I'm one of the few people I think out there that actually enjoyed that movie. But I love him, and the fact that I thought he played it perfectly. Like, I thought he's Chris Pratt, he's Robert Downey Jr. He nails that character.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, but there was parts of that, like his performance, where I was like, "That's Hugh Laurie," because he was House.
I can see, yeah, yeah.
It's like, hey, this is what happens if House gets magical powers.
Oh, I want to watch that shit. One of Marvel's weak points, villains. I feel that they've had one great villain, which is Loki. They've had some great villains on television.
There we go.
No, I think they're great, like David Tennant, the Kingpin on Daredevil. Like, I think their television villains are amazing. Cinema-wise, they've had one good villain.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Mads Mikkelsen as the villain who, I can't remember his name. It was like Cassini or Cassiopeia or Casino or...
So Marvel's biggest weak point, and even in comic book continuity, if we've been talking about the comic books, their villains just flat out suck right now. I mean, if it's not Doctor Doom, it can't be anybody.
Pretty much.
The last time they tried to write Galactus
Stormcloud.
with like mechanical stuff in it.
Oh, the Ultimates?
Yeah.
I was thinking crappy Tim Story, Silver Surfer.
Yeah, that was...
Stormcloud, Galactus.
But the one thing I can say is Mads Mikkelsen is enough of a character to kind of shine through. I thought his villain was weakly written, as all the Marvel villains are, because they just don't know what they're doing in that department. There's no excuse for having this many movies and having so many shitty villains.
Yeah.
I mean, like Iron Man 3, the movie that I hate. The entire plot of every Iron Man movie boils down to, oh shit, somebody's got the suit, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We talked about magic, they shied away from the Mandarin because,
We don't want magic.
We've got genetics, we don't need magic, and, that movie sucked. I mean, if you like Iron Man 3, go to hell. I love you, buddy. But frankly...
Other than that, you're pretty cool.
Other than that,
You have a great actor, you have a great actor playing a good character, but a badly written villain. Because there's nothing. I mean, he's basically just a utensil for this greater villain that you see for 20 seconds.
Yeah. Who kind of gets the Silver Surfer or the Galactus Stormcloud treatment a little bit.
It becomes a bit of a joke with the actual villain of the film.
Yeah.
And that being said, one thing they did do well is I did feel pressure coming from the villain. And I didn't, even with Ultron, I didn't feel like Ultron was, he's going to drop an island on the world.
Yeah.
Ooh, we haven't seen that before.
Yeah, since Superman Returns.
Yeah, and Mads Mikkelsen is he's enough of a character and a good actor to kind of make me feel that pressure, I think. So I want to give him a bit of a pass. And I probably won't do this for anybody else in the Marvel Universe, but I'll give him a little slight pass.
Intriguing. We're going to talk about that in a minute. What do you think about the villain Cassio Watch?
I know people complain that sometimes Marvel movies are just a stepping stone to the next one.
Yes.
Maybe the villains are just a stepping stone to the character developing into the next movie. Because it's like they just kind of bypass. I don't know. It's just like they just kind of pass over their next guy to get to the big. And they've been teasing Thanos since
Yeah, I mean,
But
Thanos has been
forever?
being teased for 4 years at this point,
Yeah.
and we're not going to get him for another 2.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it just seems like they kind of drag out the big bad.
Supporting cast, I kind of dug Rachel McAdams in the movie.
I love Rachel McAdams, period. She can do no wrong.
Dude who played Baron Mordo,
Yes.
or the guy that will eventually become Baron Mordo, I would imagine.
I can't say his name, but he is a phenomenal actor. I'm not even going to try to butcher
Edgeofor,
that.
like his last name I think is
Yes.
Edgeofor.
And everything he's been in, he's shined through.
Yeah, he did really good. Tilda Swinton was amazing.
You know, there was some controversy about casting her.
Yeah, and the controversy is always like, I don't know, it's one of those things, we could do a whole other talk on like weird Hollywood controversy. But it was always like well, they're casting another white person in an ethnic role. And they made a couple good points. Like, I remember Kevin Feige came out around that time and was saying like, all right, one, a lot of our movies are co-financed with China. Like, movies are no longer made for the American audience. They're made almost like America #2, China #1. Like, or at least very close together. Like, we want that Chinese money because there's 1.5 billion people over there to watch movies. And they only let so many movies in. I think it's like 35 non-domestic movies in.
It's like Warcraft, made 300% of its budget in China.
So it's like, whenever you have a character who would not have fit what the Chinese government would have wanted, they're like, one, we can't do that. Two, I remember seeing something when they made Gods of Egypt. And they're like, oh, well, Gerard Butler and Jamie Lannister are Egyptian gods. Why can't we cast Egyptians? And so I was like, name me 2 Egyptian actors that make money in America. You have to sell American movie goers people they want to see and people they've heard about. Like, it's movie star syndrome. Like, it really is.
Yeah, I do believe that there is like quite a bit of whitewashing now. I'll definitely grant that argument. How many times has Ben Kingsley been cast as certain ethnicities, and because he just...
I mean, he's really not Indian?
Let's not... This is a whole
Well,
other
he wasn't the
show.
Mandarin.
He wasn't the Mandarin, that's for damn sure. You have certain actors that do certain things. I mean, if you go to China, you're not going to see... if you're going to the movie theater in Beijing, you're going to see probably non-American people on the screen. I mean, it's a cultural thing, and unfortunately, some racism does get by. Like, I've seen some films recently that really do straddle that line.
Right.
But it's, Marvel is pretty much a uniquely American thing, and it's constantly changing.
You have to go somewhere like that because this movie really doesn't have anybody who's a movie star in it. Like,
Cumberbatch is the closest.
And it is, and he's really not been tested as a movie star. Like, he's a huge TV star. Like, Sherlock is huge. Mm-hmm. And he's had movies. He's had Oscar-nominated movies. But he hasn't really moved into that, all right, we're going to make this guy an action star. We're going to make this guy a box office draw.
This will be, I think, his first major success at the box office.
And this will be the one that takes him into the Robert Downey Jr., the Chris Pratt, the Chris Evans role. And now we're going to see him in everything. And he's probably going to be in some weird action remake in 2 years that we're like, really? That guy?
Die Hard. What's happening?
I'd watch that.
I would.
Because of that, like, you're already making a movie without marketable stars. Or not marketable, but without proven market stars. So you aren't suddenly going to start throwing in unknown actors just to hit, the character's, originally Tibetan, so we have to cast a Tibetan actor. Like, it's just, it's movie. Movies are made to make money.
And also some movies can be different because, you have a whole new building block. You're not drawing everything from the comic. I mean, races can change, cultures can change. I mean, that's the beauty about film, is that those things can change.
I mean, you saw that with Nick Fury and with Iris and Joe and everybody on the Flash. Characters always change.
Well, even Luke Cage, the culture has changed in Luke Cage. It's very much a uniquely modern Harlem with the kind of a 1920s Renaissance aspect to it. I mean, that has changed from the comics. I mean, he's not just like a Shaft type figure anymore. It's entirely different. It's flexible, and I think there's no reason to criticize something for being flexible.
The thing that stuck out the most about this movie to me, the effects. Feek said this is going to be like the most mind-blowing Marvel movie you've seen. And I didn't understand what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was so much so that even advanced tickets, we could only get them in 3D.
Yeah.
And usually we don't do 3D.
No, I'm not a fan.
But I was
of
like,
3D.
you know what? We've seen the previews for this. Maybe this is that movie we're supposed to see in 3D. And
Yeah,
I'm glad we saw it in 3D.
I've only ever enjoyed one movie in 3D.
Which one?
This one. This is the only movie I've ever seen, and I've actually felt that I've got my money's worth.
Like the concept of it made sense. Like everything about that movie worked. And you know, sometimes in 3D it gets a little bit too busy, like Jurassic World at the end when that nightmare was happening and we all got a little whoa. Like I don't know, it seemed like it was just overkill, which is weird to say that. Especially
because there's so much happening.
Yeah,
in this
it's like,
movie.
but you can pick a part of the screen and just focus on it, and something is happening.
Right.
One thing
So
that really, it really.
It doesn't
struck
look
me.
like it's trying to be 3D.
Absolutely.
It just is 3D.
The sparks. Did you see the sparks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one thing that struck me how well that was done. It was just on the street. You had all these like little things that were coming out, but they were the things that like if you were walking down that street,
Jump out.
They would jump out at you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the use of 3D and effects was perfect. I know it's. I've seen like some Inception type things. You know,
Yeah.
Inception was just phenomenal in the way it like bent the structures around. And I think this is the next evolution of what you can do with certain types of effects. And it's like visual aesthetic. It's not even special effects. Right now, it's a very specific look, and they've created something very special in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I mean, you get multiple different sections of it. I mean, you get the scenes that we've all seen in the trailer, the very Inception parts with the city bending in and on and stuff. But you also get, like, the interiors and the exteriors of the city, like, rotating in clockwork fashions and, like, opening and closing and shutting almost like scales and stuff like that. Then you go from that into the mirror universe, which has all the fractured things, and even that into like the dark universe and Dormammu's universe, which seemed almost like at first when I saw it, I didn't realize that it was supposed to be like the dark universe. I thought it was like, oh, she's taking him to like some subatomic world, and I felt like through parts of this movie, I should have been listening to Rush. Like,
That's any movie. Rush goes with any movie.
Like, I should have been listening to Rush, and I was watching a 70s Blacklight poster.
Yeah.
And I was loving it. Like, the visuals were amazing.
I think it was you. There was a part. It was one of you two, but there was a part you were like, oh. Like I just heard that like gasp from the left
that's
of me.
because
I was like,
honestly, I'll flat out tell you what that was. I thought because she was talking about other universes and things like that, and I seriously thought they were just straight up showing us Guardians because it looked like for a second. I was like,
you mentioned like the clockwork, and I thought it was very interesting that one of the main focal points every time it was on screen was his watch.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like intentional.
Yeah.
You know, the drawer with all the watches in it, and the watches
rotating,
spin it. They actually rotate. And then when he trapped them in the mirror world, and you know they had the powers.
Mm-hmm.
All of the buildings were twisting into watch. Like it was like they all fit. It's hard to explain, but they all fit this kind of blocked gear aesthetic.
Right.
When things were breaking apart and coming
together. Yeah, it was
together.
very clockwork.
Yeah. So I thought that was very well done. So whoever the cinematographer was, I'm not even sure if it would be the cinematographer. I don't know who.
Yeah, I was going to say, whenever you're talking digital effects,
whoever got the aesthetic to that movie, put them in everything. Like put them on everything because that was a perfect aesthetic.
I agree. So, setting up the Marvel Universe going forward, because that's the thing, everybody feels that, correctly or incorrectly, Marvel movies are there to set up the next Marvel movie and this Marvel Universe as a whole. We get that, we're going into, you'll see the little logo at the bottom of the screen now, we're going into spoiler talk. There are a couple stingers after this one. One of which definitely is setting up for a larger world because Thor's in it.
Yep.
I didn't know about that. Like, that shocked me. Like, it was one of those things when you heard him, and to me it was so cool because you're sitting there hearing Thor, and it's like, okay. But not only that, like, Doctor Strange has completed, it's almost like this conversation is happening 6 months after the movie, and Doctor Strange is like, no, I'm the man now.
Yeah.
And why are you screwing with our time or like our world?
Yeah, it was pretty cool because, like I said, that was one of the things I had spoiled for me.
He's him wearing the gloves. Did you catch that? He's wearing the yellow gloves
I didn't notice
in that scene.
Oh, that's cool. But no, like I had actually stumbled across something like that said his purpose was to rid the entire world of magic, which I thought was kind of weird at first. But then when it said that they were trying to get rid of Loki, so I was like, okay, well Thor's in it, Loki's. I had heard Loki was actually in it, but he wasn't. So
Right.
yeah, it is what it is. But I think you guys got more excited about what Thor had.
Oh yeah, no, the ever-filling beer mug. That was the greatest invention ever. That's why I would hang out with Doctor Strange. Be like, Doc, fill me up, good brother.
That was the stingers are always kind of hit or miss for me because some of them are like so much better than others. I mean, there's just no way. The Stinger, the original Iron Man film.
The blonde-haired Stinger is my favorite.
Blonde-haired Stinger.
Yeah.
File. File.
Wait, what?
From 1991, 92. Feuded with Vader.
He's gonna Great American bash you over the head if you don't get this, Jamie.
I kind of had the Great American Bash.
Pretty much did. I was totally marveling. I was like, but
I'm sorry to bring Halloween Havoc to the episode.
Halloween.
It's a celebration. So overall, I really dug the movie. Like, I think it's pretty high up there. I mean, there's enough of the Marvel movies and without sitting down and actually making a list, I don't know if I could say, oh, it's top 5 or whatever, but I'd say, like, without actually sitting down and making a list, it's probably very high up there. I really dug this movie.
Yeah, it's in that strange little, like, same type of category that Guardians is.
I agree.
Except for the fact that he actually does have interaction with the Avengers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, they already, so the Stinger definitely looks like he's going to be in Ragnarok. I'd have to look and see if he's actually been cast in it or if he's actually going to be in it, but the way that Stinger played off, he's at least going to have a cameo or something in it. I mean, he's already been mentioned in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have name dropped him, now he's here. I have a feeling like they're just going to shove him into the larger Marvel universe as soon as possible.
Well, the Infinity Stone pretty much makes that a given. I
Which-
think that's the most important thing.
That's
I think
not-
whatever's going to happen is going to happen in Thor.
I forgot to bring that up. We actually finally named them. There, it's the Eye of Agamotto is an Infinity Stone, and it's actually been called an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
And Rob mentioned it earlier. It was like it's just offhandedly. Long's like, yeah, while you're walking around with an Infinity Stone around your neck for it's like, yeah, these people know what it is. Like,
He just had that tone like everybody should know what they are.
yeah, it's like duh.
It does raise some questions as far as this placement for me. It's really hard for me to nail down my favorite, but I can't really say this is the most enjoyable film I've watched from Marvel in a long time, since maybe Guardians. Guardians, I keep it outside that universe because it hasn't really quite been tied.
Yeah.
It's kind of been like
No, I can
certain
easily
parts
say
have been
that.
pushed in that, but Guardians hasn't really been brought into that.
Yeah, because what have we had since Guardians? We had Tea Time of Ultron,
Civil War.
Civil War. Which I like Civil War.
I do too.
Really did like Civil War. Ultron was give or take. Civil War was a better Avengers
I
movie
think
than
it's just
Ultron
that,
was.
isn't it? Ultron, Civil War, and Doctor Strange. Are we missing one? I don't think we are.
No, I think that's pretty much it. Ultron,
Maybe, yeah. Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
yeah. Everybody forgets about Ant-Man.
Poor Ant-Man.
He's tiny.
But yeah, no, I would easily say since Guardians this is the most enjoyable one.
Visually, it's something that I'll be watching. Like, all I could think of when the movie ended is like, I have a 4K TV, and I know that sounds weird, but like, I really want the Blu-ray, like the
Right.
4K Blu-ray of that, because certain movies you see and you enjoy them, but then there are certain movies that you go see and they're impressive works of filmmaking.
Right.
To me, this was an impressive work of filmmaking, not just visually, but with what they did with such an, I don't want to say unknown cast, because
Right.
they're definitely known.
But lesser known.
Lesser known.
Or lesser, like, they're not movie stars.
Yeah, I feel like they got the whole cast for like $80.
Right.
And we're just like, we're going to pour all of this other shit
Yeah.
into
They're saying
these
they're
scenes.
saving money so they can constantly keep paying Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
But
Or Loki for being their one villain.
yeah. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. for Avengers 2 got like a country. I think
Yeah.
they actually just gave him
That's another thing, and I'm glad you bring that
like
up.
that country that they filmed in. I think they just gave that to Robert Downey Jr.
Well, I kept thinking.
And then Ultron dropped it on.
Yeah, he did. I kept thinking the whole movie. I kept thinking, I really want to see Benedict Cumberbatch and Robert Downey Jr. on screen in character.
Yes.
Together.
No, I cannot wait for that.
Because I don't want to say that I'm bored. I don't want to say that I'm bored with Iron Man. But really, he shows up to crack jokes and get on people's nerves.
You just want both of them together for the Sherlock joke. You know, you
There
do.
will be a Sherlock joke.
You know
I'm
you do.
sure there will be, but
To
I really
me,
like the
it's-
personalities. Like, I think they'll clash.
Tony always plays off as the smartest man in the room.
And now he's not.
And now, like, you've got somebody that not only can play off the smartest man in the room, the ego of the smartest man in the room.
Well, how's he going to handle magic, too? Like, his reaction
Yeah,
to
Tony's
magic.
not going to like magic.
But this is probably going to be the turning point that we get after Civil War, because Civil War was about keeping known threats.
Yeah.
I do think that plays a part, because we were talking about the Infinity Stones are now named. Now you have unknown threats, and really at this point, Thor may be the one dude that knows about them now.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody knows about them in the little group there. So, I mean, whatever records they're keeping in that library, I think you're going to see more and more of that
Yeah.
come through. And I feel like there's going to be a scene in the future where maybe Tony's going to want to look around in there or try to take something in there.
Right. I think, biggest thing to me, I think it sets open a world. Like, and granted, we've had movies like Guardians definitely open the world. But like you said, we haven't crossed over with Guardians yet. Guardians is still kind of over here in its own little pocket. We know it's coming.
Mm.
But Doctor Strange is like that same Guardians pocket, but no, we've opened it wide up. And that's what I'm waiting for, is for that to step out and suddenly these characters to have to deal with the idea that there's this larger universe. Like, we've got it a little bit with Thor, but nobody else has been to Asgard. Nobody else has played it to where it's like, I think that you're going to see something in Infinity War to where it's probably like, no, some weird crap's going on, and they're like, all the human characters are like, what's happening, what's happening? Doctor Strange's like, no, I got this, you know.
I'm going to call it now. I think to get, because they've kept the glimpses so minor of Thanos, and it's just like, it seems a bit disappointing now when you think about it. Like, there's no way. Like, we've been waiting for this moment since the first Avengers film was announced.
Right.
Maybe prior to that. We've been waiting for this moment. And it's almost impossible to live up to the hype, but I think whatever is set up in Ragnarok, because, you know, that's virtually talking about the end of the world. They made a very important decision to put the scene with Thor in the bathtubs, and Wolf Ravenheart is actually in that scene. But in Age of Ultron, and then you get Thor at the end credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Hulk is going to be in there because we've seen Hulk in gladiator gear. What's going to happen? And Doctor Strange is your first major impact to the universe.
Right.
Without actually knowing what those consequences are going to be. And the whole last few lines were about consequences.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think with Thor, we're going to see those finally.
I agree. So, we liked it. Hopefully you'll like it. Hopefully it'll go out and make $1 billion. And Benedict Cumberbatch will show up in some weird remake of an action movie.
Mads Mikkelsen, please be on our show.
Mads, please be on. I don't know. That dude is scary.
I'm fine with it.
I would like him to come on our show as Hannibal. And just make...
Does he actually play that part, or is that just kind of how he is?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope Hannibal's actually a documentary.
I mean, it's like kind of like MTV Cribs, but with Mads Mikkelsen. And it's like MTV Ribs.
Peace, dude. This is weird.
MTV Ribs. That's awesome. But go see it. We're going to have this episode out. I'm going to do my absolute best to make certain it's out within a couple days. So go see it this weekend. Go see it. If this is after this weekend, go see it last weekend. Go back into the past.
You can do that now. It's been established.
Make $1 million. Make it $1 million. Make it a great movie. It's a great way for Marvel to go out this year, leading into next year with Thor and Guardians. So it's been a while, but we're back back in your loving arms and embrace. For this time, I've been Shane.
Been Robbie.
I've been weirded out.
Hopefully we all have. Have a good one.